Okay, I spared your politics yesterday. Hit you a little today. Somebody had made a comment, and I read it this morning, to do with a political like this. He said I should include my sources in the description. That would be very hard to do. I'm not parroting somebody. I'm not, I see people do that, but that's not what I'm doing. If something sparks my interest, I will probably look at 20 different sources because everyone has got a little different slant on this. And I kind of winnow the wheat from the chaff to find out what the true story is. So, a lot of times, what somebody says as a source, it isn't about what they said, it's about what they are not saying, what they are trying their damnedest to avoid saying. Sometimes this is plainly obvious. A good example would be, I see, there's a problem. There's a conference at the UN coming up. And the U.S. is dragging their feet on giving visas to the Russians to attend. Now, this is completely against the UN Charter, and this kind of attitude will end up causing the UN to have to be moved to some other neutral country. Because the whole point behind this of not giving visas out is because they don't want to have to face Lavrov. Lavrov is the ultimate diplomat. Like what he says or not, you really can't fault him. And Blinken cannot hold a candle to him. Nobody in our administration can stand up to Lavrov. So they really don't want him attending. But like I say, to deny a visa is completely against the UN Charter. And he's floating that idea, Blinken trying to get support for that. But you have to understand, I guess if you're not careful about where you're getting your information, you get to thinking that everybody agrees with the U.S. when actually they're backed by only like a third of the countries agree with our stance on this stuff. And most of them have been threatened or bribed into doing it. The real pushers for this kind of stuff is the UK and the US. The ones will go along for the ride, but that's getting less and less all the time. There's a lot more pushback than there used to be. People are kind of fed up with that attitude that we have. So we'll see, what becomes of that. But like I say, that's in the UN Charter. It doesn't matter if you're even at war with somebody. You cannot decide to deny them a visa to attend the UN. You just can't do it. There's the G20 summit that's coming up in, I think, a couple weeks. But there again, that's in, I think, Bali or something. It's in a different country. And of course, we're lobbying, we don't want them Russians there. And they're saying, well, tough crap, the they're part of the G20. They have every right to be there, and it's important for them to be there. We just can't face them. So we try to get them somehow barred, you know. That isn't going to fly. But the UN thing, that will get the UN headquarters pulled if they're not careful, because there are plenty of people who really don't like the way we handle that. All of this kind of thing that we do. And then to see Blinken out there floating that idea, you know, because the people have been a little annoyed that they keep dragging their feet on those visas. And then to see him coming up with that idea, well, you know, maybe not all the Russians, just certain Russians that we should deny their visa. Well, what the hell? They can go to a southern border and walk right in and get a free bus ride. That annoyed me too. I know there's somebody in Europe there who is trying to emigrate to the United States legally. And, you know, it would be, him and his family would be a great benefit to this country. But we put every obstacle in his way. You know, trying to make it as difficult as possible. Well, like I say, you could go to the southern border and walk right in. It's a strange. Our State Department is just screwed up to no end. But as far as sources go, when somebody wants me to list sources, it would be incredibly difficult, and it would actually make the video impossible to watch or comprehend. It makes me think of that one, you know, the Bitches Be Crazy one that I did that YouTube promptly took down and gave me a strike for. You know, and I kept a copy of that because I thought, well, I could always go back. I could cite every source, including the CDC, on everything that I said. You know, it's all there. The information is all there. But they just, it made them uncomfortable. Now, just because something that somebody says makes you uncomfortable doesn't give you a right to deny them the opportunity to say it. It's the same with the UN. You might not like what Lavrov has to say, but you cannot fault him. You know, you could say, oh, he's evil, but he is a diplomat in the truest sense of the word. And then to deny him the UN, that's a low. That's too low. You know, they got to get that straightened out. Or, like I say, move the UN. Something like Switzerland would make more sense, but the Swiss have tended to kind of start losing their neutral status. We're getting this, we don't have a lot of neutral countries anymore. You know, a lot of them have got to have an agenda. Oh, speaking of the UN, you know, it was a funny thing. Okay, like the UN, Russia's been after them all this time, trying to get them to actually send inspectors to that nuclear plant that the Ukrainians keep throwing missiles at, which is just a suicidal thing. So they finally got around to doing it. Though I don't know that you'll ever hear what they actually found there, but everybody knows. The Ukrainians actually even admit they were doing it. But why in the world, you know, that plant powers half of Ukraine, and you're going to take it out and cause an absolute catastrophe? And they're doing those weapons that we provided, and the Brits too. A lot of it was British stuff. But when they sent that team in there, the UN specifically denied any UK or US involvement in that. They couldn't send inspectors. They had to be more neutral, and both the UK and the US have got dogs in this fight. They caused the fight. So they weren't allowed in there. And justifiably so. And then, so the UK, and us, of course, when the inspectors go in there, then they launch an attack trying to capture the plant, and lost hundreds of men doing this. You know, it was just incredibly foolish, unbelievably so. But there again, it was us and the UK. There is something. I mean, obviously there is something wrong with our government. But the UK is just completely nuts. I can't understand them at all. I mean, I can see where we've got a problem because of this crazy liberal thing. But what in the hell is wrong with the UK? That, you know, they've kind of got a history of interfering in countries that they shouldn't, but to promote this suicidal attack on a nuclear plant, that's just incredible to me. And just so many people died for no reason. Just bizarre behavior. Really unbelievable. But another thing the other day, when Biden gave his speech, I don't know what those people are thinking. You know, I mean, this, you can leave him out of the equation, he's just a puppet. But who would write this and stage this in this manner? It's just incredible to me that somebody would do that and not think, well, maybe we're going a little far. You know, and then later they kind of try to walk it back, but that thing is going to go down in history as being the end of that era of the liberal domination. That was way too far. It was crazy. It was like a black and white version of Hitler's Nuremberg rally without the crowd. You know, and then to have them grandstand and everything. The whole thing, I don't know what is wrong with these people. That was just so bizarre to have to stage manage something like that. And like I say, Biden has no idea what he's saying, but he hasn't for a long time. Just nuts. You know, I remember back even the very first debate where they had Biden up there against Trump, and then when the camera hit that angle and you could see the wire running up to his earpiece, and I thought, oh man, that's a start. He hasn't got a brain in his head, but he's allowing people to pull his strings like that. Though I have to say, he was quite animated, and of course Hitler was quite animated too, and he tended to get juiced up too. But they must have really had to pump Biden up to get him that animated to do this bizarre speech. That was the damnedest thing. But that will go down in history, much like Hitler's Nuremberg rally will. It'll be around forever. But that, I can't imagine the people that are, I mean, this is something like Zelensky would do this kind of thing because he's got his production people behind him, and they do this kind of thing, make this show. But for somebody in the White House to say this is the way to go, that's incredible. Like I said, they try to walk it back, but You know, Biden really doesn't know what he said. How can he walk it back? You know, I mean, he's trying to say now he meant exactly the opposite of what he said, which is just crazy. But that was a stroke of doom there. Just silly. It's hard to believe that somebody in that outfit doesn't say, hold it, let's think about this, what we're doing. No, they plow on. That's their, you know, they were talking to their base. God, that's a pretty radical base to be talking to. But, you know, that will not play out well in history. Yeah, it's a legacy. Ah, damn. It's really hard to believe that somebody would do something like that and not have this moment of thinking that this might be a mistake. You know, the one thing I will have to say, because I saw a little snippet today there where Peter Doocy was questioning him, Biden, in this offhand, like shout at him as he goes out the door kind of way. That Peter Doocy is one hell of a reporter. I mean, that guy is sharp and he is persistent, and he gets right to the bone every time. You know, they hate him. You know, they want compliant people who ask questions that can easily be answered or at least obfuscated, but he doesn't let them. I mean, he just hits them. I mean, sometime in the future, that man, he deserves even a more important post than he has now. But like right now, I mean, he's the only one really doing his job. The other ones just stand there and wait for him to do his job and then write up the answer. But well, he is persistent, and that's what we need. You know, we need to have somebody that's asking the questions that we want answers to. You know, the rest of them don't even ask. He's impressive, but they hate him. But that's kind of a good thing. I mean, if this Biden White House hates you, you're doing the right thing.